Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Real Take Podcast. Whatever time it is when you're listening, it is the right time because there is no wrong time to listen to the Real Take Podcast. Wow, I'm sorry about that. That was the most annoying voice I think I've ever done, and I promise to never do it again. Wow, that was rough. But the good news is we got a brand new episode coming out right now, and let me tell you, the guest actually shares my last name because that is my brother. That's right. The guest today is TJ Reid. And of course, we talked about some of our childhood memories watching movies together. Not much, but we did kind of touch on that a little bit. So nothing too emotional or anything. Let me tell you about the first thing we talked about. And that was the flashback year was 2007. Man, that voice is coming back accidentally. I apologize. It's getting a little deep on me. The flashback year, like I was saying, was 2007. So a number of good movies that came out that year. And the franchise battle, that's what it's called, is Indiana Jones. So a wonderful trilogy and unfortunate fourth movie. But the trilogy we love to talk about. And then on the Who They Play Best segment, we talk about the very talented Anne Hathaway. So that was a lot of fun too. And make sure and stay tuned for the fact check segment because we talk about Anne's voice and we actually play a little clip of her voice on a song. So make sure and stay tuned for that. And the last thing I want to tell you before we actually get into the episode is that unfortunately my brother could not join me in person. So we did this over the phone. And not that I was actually expecting Skype to be a future sponsor or anything, but Skype is who we talked through or how we talked through on the phone. And it was awful. So I apologize for the sound quality. I did my best to work it out, but it just, it wasn't great. So please bear with me on the sound quality. I do appreciate it. And now, without further ado, let me introduce you to my brother, TJ Reid. All right, so we are going to start out with the flashback year, and this episode is 2007. Taking you back to 2007, what was going on? 2007 for the NBA championship, the San Antonio Spurs won that, and the Boston Red Sox won the World Series. The Colts won the Super Bowl, and the president was good old George W. And W. Did you know the best-selling album before I sent you this? Did you know it was Josh Groban?
I haven't heard Josh Groban's name in like 8 years. I forgot he was a thing.
Yeah, nor has anyone else.
Yeah, I think, how can you go from best-selling album to never being heard of in 11 years?
Yeah, something went wrong there. I think...
what was the title of the album?
Noel.
Yeah, was that a song, or was that just the title?
That's the name of the album. Yeah, that was the best-selling album of 2007 was Noel.
Can you name a single song off of that
album?
Nope,
not even close. No idea.
Yeah,
you know, he's like referred to as, or at least by some people, as having one of the best voices out there, and I don't care for it, honestly. But whatever, I guess he did well at one time. Average costs back in 2007, $6.88 for a movie ticket. And gallon of gas was $3.07. So the funny thing, gas isn't really relevant as far. I mean, it goes up and down every year, but the movie ticket pretty much has gone up ever since, and that's a few dollars higher. What is it in the theater you go to? What is it now?
Okay, yeah, you said that, and yeah, especially the big theaters. They're charging like $12 a ticket, or get away with 14 or 15 for 3D movies and that sort of thing. But honestly, up here on Wednesdays, a lot of the local theaters. This is in St. Louis. Do $5 Wednesdays. So all day long, movies are $5. But yeah, if you're going to like AMC or any of the big conglomerates, you're paying over $10.
Dang. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. We have a $5 Tuesday here in Cape. So yeah, it's if you get the timing right and you go to the matinee, it's not as bad. But dang, yeah, I can't imagine paying $12 every time. So 2007, I was 16, so you would have been 19.
That makes me 19.
Yeah, I think so. If my memory serves me correct. Yeah. So some of the popular movies back then were Juno, 300, Superbad, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, American Gangster, Wild Hogs, The Bucket List, The Bourne Ultimatum, Spider-Man 3, just to name some of them. Did any of those stick out to you? Anything that you were a big fan of or not so much?
Well, I mean, I think when I was 19, you were 16, we were probably allowed to watch like 3 or 4 of the movies on that
Not
list.
even. Not at home.
But since then, I've seen more. I mean, American Gangster is a pretty fantastic gangster movie.
Yeah.
With Denzel Washington, who's just fantastic in everything that he does.
True.
And then I was big on all of the Bourne movies back in the late 2000s as well. So those two are classics.
Bourne Ultimatum, yeah, for sure. That was the last of the. Well, I shouldn't say last. That was the third of the trilogy, the original, right, with Matt Damon.
The last of the ones that mattered.
Yeah,
yes.
Basically, before Jeremy Renner jumped in there.
Right.
I'm thinking. So, I didn't really care for Spider-Man 3 at all. It was. I liked the first two, and the Spider-Man 3 I didn't like at all. That doesn't ring a bell as far as any movies that I really stuck out as what I liked in 2007. Order of the Phoenix for Harry Potter. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. Are you into those or not?
No, not really. So I dated somebody that forced me to. She said that I had to read the books before I watched the movies, as apparently
Dear
every Harry
Lord.
Potter fan insists
Yes,
on.
you must spend 6 months of your life reading.
So I read the first book, and I got halfway through the second book, and it was not going very quickly. So
props
I
for finishing one.
to letting me watch the movies. So I did watch the movies. It's just not the same because these people are so passionate about it because they grew up with it. And that's where all the love is for it. So it was entertaining. It was fine, but I just don't have the childhood memories attached to it that other people my age do.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you said that though, because I'm the same way with Star Wars. Is if I had never watched it as a kid and then I watched it as an adult for the first time, there's no way it has the same feeling and the same meaning, and I wouldn't enjoy it near as much. With Harry Potter, no thanks. If I had watched it from the very first one, I'm not giving that. No thanks. There's another one. Oh yeah, 300. I feel like it was a really impactful, cool movie, but I only saw it once. After it was done, I was like, I don't want to see it again. I was kind of done with it, but I love "This is Sparta." That was the coolest line of 2007 probably. But
this is Sparta, or is it We Are Sparta? Is it This is Sparta?
Oh crap! Now you're gonna. I thought it was "This is Sparta."
Coolest line of 2007. Gets it wrong.
Is it We Are Sparta? I'm gonna. You know what? I'll
have to look that up.
Yeah. I do little fact checks at the end of these things, and I'll look up what I messed up or didn't remember right. So I'll check it out after, and I'll let you know. But we're gonna move on to. So I just mentioned whatever 8 or 10 of the popular ones, but now I'm gonna mention my favorite 3 from that year. And I didn't until I was looking up this list. I honestly didn't realize this came out in 2007. It was Meet the Robinsons, the animated movie.
Oh yeah,
Disney.
Oh, that was a thing.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was really cool. For an animated, I guess probably considered a kids movie, but I still like it now. But I thought it had a really cool story about time travel, and it actually had a plot. It actually had something there too. It wasn't just animated to be fun for the kids. It actually had a story to it, which I thought was cool. I really like that movie.
I remember one quote from that movie. So people say, in
Keep
order
moving
to cheer
forward?
you up, some people tell you to imagine a T-Rex trying to make a bed. And in that movie, there's this big T-Rex, and at one point, I don't even remember the context, but he says in his squeaky voice, he's like, I got a big head and some tiny arms.
Tiny arms, yeah. I'm just not sure how well this plan was thought out. Yeah. I love that. That is lots of good lines in there. All right, and number 2, I did know this was 2007 because this was one of my favorites for a long time. Was I Am Legend, starring Will Smith and Abby. Abby, the German Shepherd, was pretty much the only other real star of the movie. Yeah, I had to look up on IMDb. They credit the German Shepherd. Her name's Abby. Sam went in the movie, but yeah.
I Am Legend was doing zombies before zombies were cool.
Yeah, and I liked that basically they were zombies, but I liked the fact that they made it more, because I don't care how good the movie is, it's hard to make zombies seem realistic, but they made these zombies not the undead, they were from a medical treatment that they thought was curing cancer that turned them into just crazy disease. So it was more of a believable, because there was medicine involved instead of just people getting bit by some whatever. I felt like it was more believable of a story than the undead walking around slowly. Because go ahead, Taro.
Wasn't there a scene when Will Smith hits on this fake movie lady who runs the Blockbuster or whatever?
Oh,
he has conversations with her, and
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you'd call it hitting on. Maybe it was. I don't know. He was like, "Please say hello to me." Yeah, it was.
I thought he like beat himself up because he said something stupid. Like stupid. Just ask her out. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, he was starting to go a little crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I can't remember the exact line, but you're right. Yeah, there was a bit of that. And my favorite scene, I guess, from that movie that really not only got me to want to watch it, but maybe I rewinded it a number of times, was when he is going in the city, the daytime, and he sees the mannequin that used to be in the store, and the mannequin got moved to the end of the street in New York, and he called him Fred. And he said, "Fred, if you're real, you better tell me right now," because he had his gun. He was about to shoot him. God, I get chills thinking about it. It's so cool because I rewinded the scene. Rewinded back when kids still rewound things. It was probably on VHS or DVD or whatever. But I truly believe that his face moved. It was like I zoomed in, and when he looked at Fred and they zoomed in on the mannequin, it really looked like his face turned. But I could be going crazy. I was probably just buying into the movie, but. I love that scene, and I love the movie. I thought it was great. And then moving on to number one. Now I'm starting to rethink. Maybe I Am Legend was my number one, but I'm going with Transformers, directed by Michael Bay, with Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, Josh Duhamel. Do you like Transformers? Are you a fan of the franchise?
Yeah, Transformers was good. I think that I have to think back to how I felt about it when I went to the movies to see that movie.
Yeah.
And we left that movie. I was living in New York City. And we left that movie just like awestruck. Like, oh my god, that was so awesome.
Yeah. It was way different.
And fighting and Shia LaBeouf and hot girls
and it was Shia pre-crazy too. So he was
pre-crazy.
He was still good.
Back after Holes, but before Crazy.
Yes. Yeah, he got a little experience under his belt. No, I loved it. Yeah, and I agree. It was so much different from the movies that have been leading up to that time in 2007. Because there weren't a whole lot of... I mean, it was before the MCU, before all the superheroes with Marvel was started. So the action-packed flicks didn't come out every 6 months. We weren't, bombarded with it. So to see something like that, especially because it was the first, big feature film of the Transformers franchise, I thought it was really cool how they incorporated the craziness from coming from space and turning into cars. And I think what's-his-face? Michael Bay did a good job making it seem fairly believable. I mean, still a little stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't so ridiculous that these alien creatures, turn into silly stuff. So I thought it was really good. Yeah.
I mean, you don't go to see Transformers thinking, "Oh, I hope everything in here is 100% believable."
Yeah.
You just want the universe that they create to be able to make you suspend your disbelief for a while.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they did well as far as that goes.
For sure, I agree. So now that I covered my top three, do you have any particulars that from that year that came out? Or even of the ones that we mentioned? Do you have a favorite of those? Or
yeah, I mean, I was looking through a list of everything that came back. First of all, it makes me feel old.
Yeah, same.
Second of all, I mean, it's probably not going to resonate with you too much, but I always liked the Beatles growing up, and Across the Universe came out in that year, which was a...
Yeah, do you mind to tell me a little bit about what that is? Because I'm not familiar.
Yeah, Across the Universe was a movie directed by Julie Taymor, and they basically told a story surrounding the Vietnam War, and they told a story using Beatles songs, basically. So most of the time, they were able to build a story around the songs. Sometimes the songs changed what we perceived their meaning to be based on the story that they created, but it was very much that musical style where there's dialogue in between the songs, but then all of a sudden they'll just start busting out in songs. But it was... Yeah,
so is it part musical or no?
Was it part musical? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
In the fact that it was just... They didn't use the Beatles' original music, but they did all covers. Cool. And the different characters in the movie did the covers of the Beatles songs, and then they use those songs to tell the story. So if you have to like that kind of movie, somewhat musical, most musicals are like that, where it's not all songs, there's dialogue in between. But if you like the Beatles and you like musicals, then it's right up your alley.
Cool. So sounds cool. Yeah, I honestly had never heard of that, so there may be some people out there that really enjoyed that hadn't heard of it either. Sweet. And that was also, you said that was 2007, right? That was
2007.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that and you covered a lot of the top ones.
Like blockbuster stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like the blockbuster stuff. I mean, speaking of Shia LaBeouf, Disturbia came out that year.
Oh.
You remember Disturbia?
I do. Yeah. I didn't realize it. I was thinking it was a different year, but well, yeah, no, I like that movie. That's scary.
Shia had a big year that year. He was living next to, like, he was under house arrest. Which, first of all, how are you gonna make a good movie when somebody's in house arrest? But they did a pretty good job. And, you know.
It was really good. Yeah, no. Now that you say that, I actually really like that movie too. Yeah, you're right. He had a lot of good movies coming out that's within a few years, starting with Holes all the way up to, even The Greatest Game Ever Played also came out. I believe that was 2005. But anyway, yeah, no, he had a lot of good stuff. We are going to move on to the franchise battle, which in this episode is covering Indiana Jones, and unfortunately, we are covering I said that wrong. We are covering all 4 of them, even though to me, I would like to believe that there's only 3.
3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. And even 2 is not my favorite. So, to me, in my personal collection, I own all 4 and I watch half of them. So, whatever, it is what it is. But we're starting out, so Raiders of the Lost Ark is the first one. Indiana Jones, The Temple of Doom's number 2. Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, number 3. And then the unfortunate Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So, as far as IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, those are the 2 main online rating websites that I use. The first one is the highest rated on both websites. 8.5 on IMDb and 94% Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, and of course
94%. That is so high.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's undeserved. It's just like you don't see mid-90s very often.
It's I think it's deserving. Yeah. No. Out of those 4, first of all, I just kind of want to cover. Do you have a favorite? And I want to ask if you have a least favorite, but I feel like we're both in the same boat on that one.
Skull is obviously the best.
Yes, it's very much so above the others. Yes. It was so good. It probably shouldn't have been made. I'm gonna say
we weren't ready for it.
No,
we will appreciate it in 20 years.
2008 wasn't ready for it, and I really don't think 2018 is. But go ahead. Sorry.
I have. Oh man, to me, when I think of the Indiana Jones, so 2 out of 4 of them came out before I was born, and then The Last Crusade came out 2 years after I was born, 2 years old.
Yeah, you're right.
So when I look back on those, I just think of them almost as one big movie. Because when I started watching them, I was able to just watch them straight through. I didn't have to wait for one.
It's like binge watching them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was the binge watching of the early 90s.
Yeah.
3 VHS tapes just
wait 10 years and then watch them all.
So it's hard for me to say this one is my favorite because they're just all one big movie to me. But I think that Last Crusade will always hold a special place to me.
Yeah.
But it would be between The Last Crusade and The Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those are my top 2. But
yeah,
I think that Raiders is probably the best movie just on its own merit.
Yeah.
But as far as memorable scenes and things that stuck with me, I think The Last Crusade is definitely
same here.
Probably my top, yeah.
And they were all 4 directed by Steven Spielberg. I knew the first 3 were, and then I actually had to look up just to make sure the 4th one, and not in a condescending way, but I was like, dang, that was maybe somebody else did it. Maybe somebody else would be the reason why, to blame. But speaking of Shia LaBeouf, there he is again. He's
the next year, 2008. Still pumping out hits.
Yeah, and so for Raiders of the Lost Ark, again, same as you. Obviously, I wasn't born. I wasn't born for the original trilogy. I wasn't around yet. But being able to watch all 3 of them, I would agree Raiders of the Lost Ark is the best of all of them. And I also really like The Last Crusade. I think The Last Crusade does have some really cool scenes, some fun. Because at the very end, when he has to get through the, I don't know, what do you call it? When he has to avoid being murdered and walk across the cliff. Whatever that area is called to get...
In The Last Crusade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has the 3 tests.
Right. I don't know what the name of that would be, but the where he has to avoid getting his head chopped off and having faith that he can step over the area he can't really see with the trench. I don't know whatever you call it, but that to me was really cool because it was everyone knew it was the last of the trilogy, and I was thinking, is there any way they kill this guy without knowing what happened. So I think it was a really cool. I guess how they shot it for that, especially that cliff scene where. Obviously they did this on purpose, but in the camera you can't see it. As a viewer, as the audience, you can't see. So when he's stepping off the cliff, I'm like, "Where are you going, son?" But of course it works out.
He had to take a leap of faith, right?
Right. Yeah. And that was the trick. And then they move the camera and you can see it. But
so here's my thing. Like, could you? First of all, I'm like you. Like, I like imagining alternate endings of movies. And like, what if they just did this, even though they never will?
Yeah.
What if he takes that leap of faith and he just like falls down the cliff?
Well, I was thinking maybe he falls and then he like grabs onto something, or he grabs his whip, and he flings back up, or some craziness. And then of course you see that there's actually a walkway that blends in, and
yes. But doesn't he throw some rock? Oh, he gets to the other side.
Once he gets to the other side, he throws it back so he can see his way back. Yeah.
See, that was my thing. Couldn't you just throw a belt? Throw a piece of clothing?
Yeah. Why didn't he do that the first time to see if anything was maybe floating out there?
Yes. Was all the things he was wearing essential, and he just had to step off with his entire body?
Right. Yeah. Can't lose this outfit. Nope. But Raiders.
I know he likes his hat. I know.
He wouldn't throw the hat's last. So I think Raiders of the Lost Ark. Just going back to as far as when you have a trilogy. There's always an arc to it, and so I think of the Dark Knight trilogy, and Batman Begins was the beginning, and they had to tell a story, and then Dark Knight was all this chaos and action, and then the third one, Dark Knight Rises, is kind of the wrap-up story, and you got to close it off. And a lot of trilogies work that way, with the slow beginning, like the original Star Wars trilogy, slower Empire Backstrikes. Yeah, I think that's what they called it. No, Empire Strikes Back, more action, and then Return of the Jedi, they wrap it up. So, with that said, you would assume that with Indiana Jones they might do the same thing, but I really don't think that. I think they went all out on all three of them. I think they all three had good action. I think they all were fair paced. I don't feel like even Raiders, the beginning, they explained his character well, and you got to understand that he was a teacher and that he was into archaeology, but I don't feel like you were bored learning about him like the first hour. I feel like they did a fantastic job of getting right into the story, but also having a fair amount of a plot and action. And so that's what I think. To wrap up my long story here is I think that is what makes it unique and special, is the fact that it was the first of the trilogy, but you wouldn't really recognize it as being the first because it jumped right into it right off the bat. What do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that.
Does that make sense?
Some people think that Indiana Jones is like a mixtape. Some people think that a good mixtape, you have to start off slow, build up, and then go hard, and then wane off, and finish with something. No, go hard every single song.
Yeah.
Bring it. And Indiana Jones, if I remember right, the first movie starts off with him trying to raid this temple and somersaulting through saws and
that's when he switches
this airplane with this guy. Okay, first of all, this guy in this airplane in the first movie.
Yeah.
Aren't you gonna be paying attention to when this guy's coming at you? And
you're in a native land and there's these crazy tribal people with spears and stuff, and you're not looking around. Yeah, I know.
You gotta you keep the engine running, buddy.
You say that, and I'm picturing Harrison Ford running. What's he yelling at him? Start the engine or something?
Start the engine!
He's screaming something. Yeah, it's hilarious.
And he's being chased by just a myriad of tribal people with
shooting
blow darts.
The blow dart. I'd be scared to death. Yeah, and that with the famous scene of the I guess the ball. I don't know what we call it. The huge boulder. The giant boulder. Yeah. So great movie all around. So we're going to go with, usually at the end of these segments, I kind of decide a winner, and it sounds like we're both set on the first, the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So, would you?
I think you have to, as far as, and it looks like the public agrees as far as those two websites you mentioned. I think it's just, first of all, it is the first one that came out, and so it was brand new and fresh and amazing, and then the others all had to live up to that hype, and I think that's natural. But introducing this brand new character that was unknown in the movie world, and
to make a professor of archaeology that cool, who does that?
We were homeschooled, so we didn't have teachers that cool for sure. But
oh, come on, Mom was pretty cool.
I mean, she didn't go chasing relics and avoiding boulders.
Not that we know of.
Rope swings. Yeah, I mean,
she took some long weekends.
First of all, okay, I keep saying first of all. I feel like I use that phrase too much.
We're at least at 4 or 5 by now. Yeah.
But could you imagine having him as your teacher?
You're right.
Could you imagine sitting in the classroom?
That one girl fell in love with him. Remember she put on her eyelids, I love you or something?
He's sitting in the classroom teaching. Now, kids, we're going to learn about the ancient Byzantine area. And then Sean Connery burst in. He's like, Junior!
Oh, yeah.
We've got this to run off to right now. And then in the middle of his class, they just leave. And you're sitting there. They never focus on the kids after he leaves.
No, who cares about the kids?
They just take so many vacations.
Yes.
He doesn't take the time to get a substitute teacher when he leaves.
No, he's got to go. He's got stuff to find, people to kill. No, we're gonna go with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I think call it that. But dang, I'm glad that you mentioned the Sean Connery though, because he really makes the third one. Not to go back to this, but yeah, he makes the third one really good, and he makes it a very close second to me because IMDb is just 2 points away from being the same as Raiders. It's 8.3, and Raiders is 8.5. But anyway, a really good wrap up.
How we didn't really mention Crystal Skull at all.
Yeah, I don't even. It's not even worth it, is it? Well, Temple of Doom. I don't even. Man, once you get the voodoo dolls and the ripping out of the heart, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm like,
skip. But that rope bridge thing in there is pretty amazing.
The what?
You remember the rope bridge scene where he's surrounded on both sides?
Oh God,
no. Rope bridge?
I don't.
The only way out is he takes his machete and he cuts the middle of the rope bridge.
Oh.
Everybody else falls and he hangs on.
Oh, I don't even remember that. I've kind of blocked it out because it wasn't my favorite.
Indiana Jones, it's just nonstop him getting out of impossible situations.
Oh dang!
That's
MacGyvering his way out.
Yeah.
So what I remember from the Temple of Doom mostly, because I haven't watched it in a while, is the little kid. And yeah, Mr. Jones. I remember that. Yeah. And then he had the block on his shoe so he could drive, because he was driving the car, but he was too short, so he put a little block around his shoe so he could reach the pedal. And the freaking monkey brains, nasty. The people eating the snakes in what was he in India or something, and monkey brains and python on the table or something. So yeah, it's all a nasty blur. I'm gonna
keep talking and see how many things you can say that other people are gonna be like,
Whoops. So we're gonna.
India or
I don't know where he was. He was. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the guest take. This is, and I say this every time, but this is my favorite segment because this is the most like an interview process, and it's less talking by me. So that's fun. So we're gonna move on to the first question. There are 10 guest take questions, all about you. So the first one is, what was your first movie-going experience? And so, like, what movie was it? How old were you? What'd you think?
I thought about this when I heard the question, and I'm not going to lie, I don't know if this is for sure the correct answer, but the earliest one I can remember
Sure, yeah. That's all I'm looking
Toy
for.
Story.
Toy Story, ooh, yeah.
Toy Story came out in 1995, which would have made me 8 years old, and I feel like I would have seen movies before then because we went as kids, but this is like my earliest memory.
Sure, yep.
So Toy Story.
So you would have been 8, and I'm sure I was with you.
I would imagine.
Yeah, but what did you think? So looking back as an adult, looking back as a kid going to that, what were you blown away, or do you remember what you thought?
Well, I mean, I can say how I feel about it now that has, built over time. And I know I liked it. I always liked it. Who doesn't like Toy Story? I don't care how old you are.
Right.
It's, as a kid, imagining, we play with toys and imagine that they're real. Yeah. And this movie,
brings it to life.
That we were right.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I remember seeing that. I don't specifically remember, watching it in the theater, but same as you, I remember... I actually do it because I would have been 4, but that was probably my earliest memory of going to the theater. And I just remember staying outside after the rest of the family went in, and I was flying, or not, I thought I was flying. I was running around the house pretending to be Buzz Lightyear. So I was stoked on it. I'm sure you liked it.
Yeah, I mean, and it had a good story. You know, it wasn't just some cheesy movie. You know, you had conflict between Woody and Buzz. Who's going to be this kid's favorite? Sid, the vicious kid across the street that tortured toys, and the little aliens in the claw machine.
Yeah.
The claw was their god. Like, everything in that movie was gold.
Yeah, for sure. That was, and we can thank Mr. Steve Jobs for that. That was Pixar's first, and it was the first fully like computer animated movie ever, and Pixar's first in their Disney deal of the 3 movies. So yeah, very good. And again, not only like you mentioned had a great story, but with it being the first computer animated, you could tell the difference. You could tell they weren't just drawn. It was a totally different type of animation, which I think was extra cool in an animated movie, and especially as a kid. Yeah, great first movie. Number 2 is, what was the last movie you saw in theaters?
Regretfully, I have to say it was Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. Okay, so not the Han Solo. Okay.
Not Han Solo. I have not seen it, and I've heard that a lot of people have not seen it because it has come in severely under what they expected for the opening weekend. But I plan on seeing it eventually. It's just, I don't know. As far as Han Solo, it was kind of, I wasn't itching to go see it when it came out. And that's kind of necessary for me to go see a movie on opening weekend.
No, I don't blame you. But so moving to The Last Jedi, and you said regretfully. So is it regretful that because it wasn't a great movie, or because it's been a little while?
Yes.
Both. So what did you think of The Last Jedi? Was anything specifically that you didn't like?
Yes, there was a lot. So Stevens, I don't even know where to start. It was over Disney-fied, in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah.
They are appealing to a mass audience now, and it's the same. So I'm not even a prequel hater. Like 1, 2, 3, a lot of people are. But 1 through 6 all hold like a great place in my heart, and even number 7.
Number 7 has grown on me. The Force Awakens. I didn't care for it as much the first time I saw it, but I like it a lot more now. But I'm with you on The Last Jedi. I hated it.
It's just, they did a lot of things that were, for one, Luke Skywalker was excuse the language, a little... Boop.
He was a joke. I mean, to the first scene...
we've been waiting for 2 years. The last scene of her extending the lightsaber to him, we're like, holy, like, how is Luke going to react to this, and what awesome thing is he going to do the next movie?
Yeah, like, dude...
come out and he's milking whatever that thing was.
The tit of the stupid walrus alien? Yeah, I know. I thought the first line... Because I heard Rian Johnson, the director, had said in an interview before that the first line, I think, was spoken by Luke, so I was like, oh, dang, I was trying to figure out... I was into it. Like, I was ready for it. I thought it was going to be good. And I was thinking he was going to look at Rey and be like, you shouldn't have come here. And it was going to be like dramatic, and I'm not going to teach you, and this back and forth. And then, I don't even remember what his first words were, but it was stupid.
And I feel like that says enough about the movie.
Yeah,
like,
very...
Don't remember this thing you looked forward
forgettable.
to forever.
Yeah, I know. I was very upset at how much of a joke that he was. And he was, I do YouTube reviews, and of The Last Jedi, I just said he was a pansy. I mean, he was not the hero of cinema that we grew up, that so many people grew up watching, and for the last 40 years, he's not the same character at all. And I get that you want to advance the character and change it and get into a different world of Star Wars now that Disney's taken over, but I would say they definitely took the wrong direction with Luke anyway.
Yeah, and apparently Leia is a Jedi Master now?
I suppose. She's like Superman, actually. The way she's flying through the galaxy with her arm up. Yeah.
Dying in the middle of cold space.
Yeah. Wow. I think we could talk for hours about how many mistakes they made in that.
Yeah, that's an entire different podcast.
Yes. I've got to move on to number 3. What was, and this might be a long list, what was the movie that made you cry or at least become emotional?
How many times did you see me cry over movies?
I don't know. I feel like a lot, though. I'm probably making it up. I feel like you would. I don't know that I've seen you cry in any, but...
I rarely cry in movies because
then
I appreciate stories so much. But one that I can remember that got me because...
Or at least became emotional.
I was watching it with somebody who was just bawling, okay?
Yeah, that's
and
annoying.
When you're with somebody else who is crying, that kind of, like, influences it. And Up, the movie Up.
Yeah!
Specifically, the first 15 minutes of the movie Up.
Yeah?
This old couple grows old together, have hopes and dreams that just get dashed over and over again. They save up to go on vacation, and their fun keeps disappearing. And, like, she grows old and dies, and he's left alone by himself, never to make his dreams happen, and he's old and grumpy. Like,
yeah.
Holy, they got real dark.
They got dark fast. Yeah, and that's probably why I didn't like the movie. I fell asleep in the first 30-something minutes. I probably cried myself to sleep now that I think about it. I don't remember. Wow, that's a good one, though. That is sad. I'm sure that's on a lot of people's lists. But moving on to number 4, what's the worst movie you've ever seen? Do you have one? And did it take a while to come up with one? Okay, go ahead then.
Instant. And ever since I've seen it, this has been the answer to this question. It's called
Lord.
Jack and Jill with Adam Sandler.
Ooh, okay. I haven't seen it.
Jack and Jill is incredibly horrible.
Wow.
And
are you usually an Adam Sandler fan?
So back in the day with his good stuff, like
in the 90s?
Yeah, in the 90s. It was like Big Daddy and the
Happy Gilmore.
Golf, Happy Gilmore, yeah.
Waterboy.
Yeah. I don't know if it had more to do with like me being young and appreciating stupid humor more, but I can objectively say I don't care how old I was. Jack and Jill, he played himself and his either sister or his twin sister. He played both characters.
What? Oh, that just sounds silly. That's like only Eddie Murphy can do that.
And believe it or not, Robert De Niro is in this movie.
They must have paid him a lot of money.
And it's unwatchable. Like, the laughs are not funny. The plot is horrible. Yeah, if you want to, like, punish yourself for some bad decision you made, or, like, make yourself...
I just about spit out my water. Wow.
Or make yourself feel like you could be successful.
if someone out there is listening and they have kids and they want to punish them, maybe watch this movie then. Yeah.
Except for the fact that it's also incredibly offensive. Yes.
Wow. You must watch this offensive movie and hate it.
So, yeah, I like. There's. It's not even a contest.
Wow. Well, it sounds like it. Number 5, movie you're embarrassed to say you've never seen. And I literally say this, I think, in every episode to the guest. But I want to clarify. It doesn't have to be, like, just truly embarrassed that you're, losing sleep over it. But just something that maybe people would be surprised you haven't seen.
I think, well, there's a few on the list. I've been trying to slowly knock them off. But the one that sits among the top as far as, like, must-see movies is Shawshank Redemption.
Ooh, okay. That's a good one. Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have. It's on, again, like I said earlier, I go by IMDb, the website, a lot because I find that myself that I agree with that list of their ratings a lot, and they have that as the number 1 movie of all time. Now, I don't know that I would agree with that, but I do agree that it's good, and I do think it's top 10. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth watching at least once, and I love Morgan Freeman, and he is also in that, so yeah, definitely worth watching. Favorite scene in a movie. So number 6 is favorite scene in a movie. Do you have a favorite scene? If not, you could just name a good one.
Man, it's so hard to narrow down to one scene, but the one that comes to mind that I enjoy watching over and over and over again is from Pulp Fiction. Yeah? With Samuel L. Jackson. Have you ever seen Pulp Fiction?
Yes. It's been a while, though, and I've only seen it once. And I have... Which scene is it?
So the scene that I love the most, and that's just, I could watch every scene in that movie endlessly, but him and John Travolta go into this house
with the briefcase.
With the briefcase, yes.
Is that the scene when
the briefcase?
To get it, yeah.
And they're going to hunt down these 3 guys, like, to follow up with them because apparently they screwed over their boss, Marcel Wallace. So we never really know. Like, we're never shown what's in the briefcase. Right?
Yeah, right.
That's a red herring.
Yes.
But his entire dialogue while John Travolta is, like, searching through the kitchen for this briefcase, and he just owns this room and this entire scene, and he knows what he's going to say before he says it. He's in full control. He quotes the Bible. He shoots a guy nonchalantly, like it's no big deal. He eats this guy's hamburger, and then his whole scene about say what again, Samuel Jackson made that scene.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And he just, he quoted this scripture from obscure Ezekiel chapter something
I'm sure
rains down fiery terror over his enemies, and he uses that in the middle of his soliloquy.
I don't specifically remember the quote or the verse, the line that he says, but I could imagine him throwing some explicits in, at least before and after. I didn't change it up a bit.
Directly much of that scene because it's pretty much every other word he's dropping F-bombs. Like Samuel L. Jackson does.
Like he always does. Like the real life.
There's a compilation on YouTube of every F-bomb that Samuel L. Jackson has ever dropped.
That's a long video.
He's ever done. It's a very long video.
Number 7 is your dream co-star. Do you have a dream co-star? If in this magical world that you're a famous actor.
If I was a leading actor and I got to act with anybody.
Yeah, you can pick anybody.
Okay, it probably depends on what kind of movie it was, right? But I think as far as, like, the one that comes to mind is Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, okay. Cool. She's very talented.
Jennifer Lawrence a lot. She's fairly versatile about what she can do. But I imagine that it would be a lot of fun to do a movie with her as well.
I feel like a more serious movie. I think she's good in everything, but I feel like she's especially good in very serious emotional roles, and I feel like she would be good in like a drama thriller type of movie with her. But yeah, good choice. She's really good. Number 8 is favorite line in a movie. Do you have a favorite line? Anything stick out to you?
I think Here's Looking at You, Kid is probably
Casablanca?
my favorite line. Casablanca.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into in a second.
Nice.
And I probably my top 5 favorite lines from all movies. 3 of them are from that movie.
Oh wow.
So Here's Looking at You, Kid is the best one.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Humphrey Bogart was just the best leading man ever.
Nice. Number 9 is guilty pleasure movie. So a movie that either possibly tanked at the box office, or maybe just a movie that the majority of people disliked, but something that you like.
I think that a lot of the old, like, stupid monster flicks,
like horror films, monsters.
Anaconda.
Oh dang. Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. I talked about that in another episode. That was on my list of movies from '97 that I liked the most. So, yeah, that would apply to me too.
I don't think that was a tank necessarily. Like, I feel like it was fairly well received, but it's a pretty bad movie.
Yeah. No,
watching it now.
In 1997, it was like, yeah, we're totally into it, and then now it's like, oh my god, we watched that. Yeah,
Anaconda, same story, same realm, like Tremors with Kevin Bacon.
Dude, no, that movie's still good. I love Tremors. Now,
Do you know they made like 6 of those?
I was gonna say number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are bad, but the first one.
They're 9?
Nah, I don't know. I think there's 7. I have no idea. I'd have to. That'll be one of the things I look up after the episode. But
I'm sure the 3rd or 4th one, like, they can fly.
Yeah. That's fairly early on in the series. That's episode 14. No. Crazy. Number 10 is favorite movie of all time.
If anybody couldn't already guess based on my favorite quote of all time, it's also
I think I know. Yeah, Casablanca. Cool.
Have you ever seen that one?
Dude, I've never seen that. That should be on my embarrassed to say I've never seen list.
I feel like it's less and less popular that you run into somebody who's seen it of our age, and that's totally fine. Like, I went through a classic movie phase where I tried to watch as many essential movies as possible.
Gone with the Wind? You a fan of?
No, not at all.
No? Okay, fair enough. I'm going to stop my old film.
It insists on myself.
Dang. Do you know what year? What year was Casablanca? Any idea?
I want to say 1956, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know the exact year.
That's not a big... I can look it up later. But
I do know this.
Mid-50s?
I do know this. It's 1942. It's set in World War II.
Oh, dang. So it's set in 42 and came out in 42. So it was they didn't change the time period.
It came out in 42, but I think it was a couple years earlier. Like, it was set a couple years before that in the middle of the war.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, cool. So, Casablanca it is. Moving on to our next segment is Who'd They Play Best? So we're going to discuss, and today it is Anne Hathaway. So, I'm just going to name a few of what I'm going to call her honorable mentions, and then I'm going to say what I think she did best. I'm going to pick a winner. So some of them, she played Selena Kyle in The Dark Knight Rises, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a big Batman fan. She was Maggie Murdock in Love and Other Drugs. She played Brand in Interstellar. She was Mia Thermopolis in The Princess Diaries. The White Queen in Alice in Wonderland, Andy Sachs in The Devil Wears Prada, Kim in Rachel Getting Married. And then I am going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and say my winner. Then we can kind of talk about the rest of the list and see what you think. Fantine from Les Mis or Les Miserables, however you want to pronounce it. And here's a fun fact that people will probably not appreciate about me. I've never seen it. And I know you think, why would you pick a movie you've never seen as her best role? Well, I'm not stupid. I may not have seen the movie, but I realize that she did a fantastic job. I have seen clips of it. I haven't seen it all the way through, I should clarify. I've seen part of it. I'm just not into musicals, and it's hard for me to bear through all of that singing, but I understand how good that she was in the role, and obviously she can sing very well. So the reason I picked it is because of all of that combined. She played a very emotional role, and she also sang well, so that's why I'm picking the winner. But what about you? Do you have any favorites of hers, and do you agree with my winner there?
Yeah, I mean, Anne Hathaway is funny because she is pretty well known that people hate her, but it's also well known that they don't know why they hate her.
I don't hate her.
I don't hate her.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know why.
She's not on my list of like top favorites or anything, but it's just she's like too perfect, you know, and that's everybody's complaint. Like, she's always friendly and soft-spoken and does really well in every role she ever does.
People want to have dirt on somebody. That's true. Maybe she needs a scandal to come out, and then people start liking her.
They want a scandal.
Yeah.
But Anne Hathaway is incredibly talented. She grew up in that world. You know, her mom was actually a Broadway actress, and her mom played Fantine on Broadway.
Well, cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was incredibly important for Anne Hathaway to get that role specifically when the movie was redone.
Yeah.
It meant a lot to her to be able to play the same role that her mom did back in the 70s.
That's crazy. I may have come across that at some point, but I certainly did not remember that. That's cool. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, and for those who watched Les Mis, Fantine is not one of the main characters. She's a side story.
Yeah.
Right? And spoiler alert, closure is, if you don't want to know, she dies halfway through the movie.
I'd say that's pretty emotional, dying.
Right?
She did a fantastic job of dying.
Yeah, so it's not like she was the centerpiece, but she made what she made what minimal role she had in that movie very good, and her scenes were incredibly emotional.
Yeah, well, again, I think she does a fantastic job. Like I said, I think she's talented too, and I think she does a fantastic job in just about anything. Even if she's in a movie that doesn't do fantastic, she usually does a really good job with her part. I personally I feel like one of her underrated roles, and I'm probably just saying this because I'm biased toward Batman, but I think she did really well in Selena Kyle because she was fairly versatile in that, even though people think, superhero vigilante type of movies aren't going to have those type of roles really included too much, but I do think that she did a really good job with that role, and I think it got passed up by so much of the other stuff that was the craziness happening in that movie. But I think she did good in that. She was also really good at Maggie Murdoch. She was I believe terminally ill, or she had some type of disease, and now I feel stupid. I can't remember, but in Love and Other Drugs, she was really good in that as well. But yeah, she's good in everything. Have you seen Interstellar?
I have not. Interstellar was the one with...
It's a space movie with Matthew McConaughey and Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Came out in 2014.
Was he driving that car that he's... did they include that?
He was driving a truck away on the dirt road away from his house. That was a popular scene they played in the trailers where he was leaving his daughter. Is that maybe what you're thinking of, or no?
No, I was thinking of the Lexus. Was that?
That's a commercial. That's Lincoln. Lincoln,
kidding.
not the Lexus. Yeah. Well, anyway, she was good in Interstellar too. Was my point. Moving on, so we're gonna get on to our next segment, which is the suggested reel. And I understand that you haven't seen this, but that's part of why I'm bringing it up, because most of my movies that I bring up in the suggested reel are movies that weren't crazy huge box office smash hits, because what I'm doing is just suggesting people to check out a movie. So if they're super popular, you've probably already seen it. So it's usually movies that aren't quite as familiar. And this one is Chef. It was directed, and this is kind of Jon Favreau's baby, because this was his little project. He wrote it, he directed it, and he was the main character. He starred in it as well. So it was directed by Jon Favreau, who, famously, he did the Jungle Book remake, the live action. He did Iron Man 1 and 2, and a number of other movies. He played Rio in the Han Solo movie that just came out. But listen to this cast if you're unfamiliar. Jon Favreau, Robert Downey Jr., Sofia Vergara, Scarlett Johansson, and Oliver Pratt. Just based on that, it's got to be good.
That's pretty star-studded. Yeah.
Yeah, and not all of them have a huge role. Jon Favreau is certainly the lead actor, and he's in most of the scenes. And there's a couple that I left out too. I don't have the entire cast list, but anyway, the cast is really good. Here's the synopsis that you'll find online. A head chef quits his restaurant job and buys a food truck in an effort to reclaim his creative promise, while piecing back together his estranged family. So he has a son in the movie that has a big role in it too, and it's a really fun movie. It is about, like I said, it's about a chef who's at this restaurant, and he ends up getting into kind of a fallout with the owner. He's basically forces him to quit, and then gets the food truck and wants to, he wants to get to the quality food and have unique things going on. The owner of the restaurant just wants the plain old basic stuff. And it doesn't sound like it'd be a great movie just talking about food and cooking, but it is really fantastic. I was blown away when I saw it. I first saw it on Netflix. Came out in 2014. And it just has a really good family story of him trying to piece back his career, and then also trying to because he has kind of a hard time. He brings his son on some of the adventures with the food truck, and his son is only about 10 years old. I don't know. I think a lot of people would enjoy it, and maybe aren't super familiar with it. But there's this awesome scene. So Oliver Pratt, he plays a food critic, and this is in California. I want to say Los Angeles, but it's somewhere in California. And so the restaurant that Jon Favreau, as the chef that he works at, is this really fancy, uppity place. And Oliver Pratt is like the #1 food critic in the country, and he comes to review the restaurant. So everyone is nervous, and he ends up giving a bad review and doesn't do very well. And then after that happens, that's when he has the falling out with the owner of the restaurant. So he comes back to the place. The owner re-invites him back and says, "We're going to fix the menu. We're going to do a better job. We've got a different chef." And so Jon Favreau is no longer working at this restaurant. He's at home, and he's sending out tweets. And Oliver Pratt is sending out tweets as well, like back at each other. So they have this online feud, and making fun of Jon Favreau as the chef, and he's calling him names and stuff. So and this is where it gets good, Jon Favreau busts in the restaurant. He does not work there anymore, and he runs up to Oliver Pratt's table, and he starts screaming at him, and he's yelling, and everybody in the restaurant stops what they're doing. They pull up their phones, they're taking pictures and recording it, and Jon Favreau is just going nuts. And so Oliver Pratt's sitting there eating his dessert or whatever, and he made a molten lava cake for the food critic at his previous visit, and he said that it wasn't cooked well. And so he gets mad, and he starts screaming, "The lava is molten! It's supposed to be molten!" And he just loses his mind, and it is hilarious, and it is my favorite scene from that movie, and you should definitely check it out. And end of story.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sorry for the...
2014.
Yeah.
I've liked Jon Favreau ever since I saw Swingers.
Well, dang, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, Swingers was like 1996,
Dang,
I want to say.
I liked him on Friends.
Yes, he was on Friends as well.
He's a billionaire, yeah.
He wasn't even I guess he co-starred with Vince Vaughn in Swingers.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, now that you say Vince Vaughn, I do remember seeing at least like the cover or something, but I've never seen the movie. So it's good.
Vince Vaughn was skinny, and he was funny. And if you've ever heard, Beautiful Babies, they go to Vegas to help Jon Favreau get over a breakup, and it's pretty fantastic. Anyway,
awesome.
Long, side story, but yeah. Jon Favreau's good. He's extremely recognizable as an actor. You see him, you know who he is.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way towards like how sustainable he's been for his entire career.
Sure. Yeah, no, I like him a lot, and I'm glad you said it. So usually I do a suggested reel, and I'm glad you kind of did one of your own too. So Swingers, that's That's a good one to check out, huh?
Yeah,
Cool.
mid-90s. I'm not even a huge fan of Vince Vaughn. I think he's a little annoying with his current movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I watched that, I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty good movie. And they go to Vegas, and he tries to help him get over his ex, and it's
a comedy?
Right. Yeah, it's a comedy.
Yeah,
it's a little slow going for the first 20 minutes. So if you give it a shot, there's a lot of setup, but stick with it because the last half is good.
Sweet. Well, cool. Thanks. So we're on to the final take. So basically, we're just kind of wrapping up with what we covered. I want to briefly just talk about each segment really quick. What we decided on the franchise battle for Indiana Jones, we decided Raiders of the Lost Ark was the best out of those series. And then on the 2007, on the flashback year, I picked mine, was Transformers. Remind me, did you have a favorite, you said? Was it the Beatles movie?
Outside of the ones you mentioned, the honorable mention would be Across the Universe.
Yeah, Across the Universe. Okay, cool. Nice. And then moving on, so the guest take. Remind everybody, your favorite movie of all time is?
Casablanca. Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, Paul Henreid. You cannot put a genre. If you walked into a Blockbuster, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
If you walked into a Blockbuster, you know how they had it organized by drama, comedy, action, class.
Yeah.
They had it organized. You couldn't decide which one it went into because it was all of them in one.
Nice. I definitely need to watch that. That is on my list of movies I need to knock out. So first movie going experience you said was Toy Story. Let's see what the movie that made you cry. What was that again?
Oh, that stupid cartoon from
dang,
Pixar.
that stupid movie. No wonder I forgot it. Nice.
Thankfully, the last hour and 45 minutes made me laugh hysterically.
It kind of makes up for it.
Minutes.
I wish I wouldn't have slept through all that. Maybe I would have figured that out. Nice. All right, and then who'd they play best was I picked Fantine, and you seem to kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
at least. Anything else you want to mention while we're wrapping it up here? We cover everything. Any other thoughts or opinions?
I think that movies will always be important, and I know it's hard to come up with original things, but even if what's unoriginal, if it's done well, it's good.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that you mentioned the movie tickets prices at the start of the podcast. Because what was it, like $6.88 or something like that?
It was $6.88. Yeah, you're right.
I think it went up, but movies are struggling right now. Like movie theaters are struggling more than they ever have because we've got Netflix, we've got Hulu, we got Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's so easy to stay home.
On YouTube, like the incentive to getting out and going to movie theaters is dropping.
For sure.
I'm excited to see what the movie going experience will be like in 10 years.
Oh yeah, and go ahead. Sorry.
They're already offering full waiter service inside your movie.
Yeah.
Giant recliner chairs, anything to set them apart and give people a reason to come out to the movies. So who knows what it will be like actually going out to the movies.
Oh yeah. No, I completely agree. And here in Cape Girardeau, so they redid the theater. Let's see, what is it? It's May. So it was late last year. It was over. It took many months, but they completely redid it. It's unrecognizable. Like the theater doesn't look anything like it did. And to your point, part of that was because it needed kind of a little bit of a remodel, but they really went all out on it, and I think that is part of it because people are struggling to get to the theater. So what do? They put in huge recliners, leather seats. Some of the theaters have heated seats. I guess if you're going in the wintertime and you need that. They added a food service. It's interesting, and that's just in. Cape gets everything 20 years later than everybody else, but I think as far as even the whole country nationwide, I do believe that things will continue to change and if you want to stay in business, you got to drive people there somehow. Like you said, there's so many reasons to stay home now. So it's fun to get out and go. And also, not even theaters, but I just thought I'd mention this. I'm not at all sponsored or have a reason to say this, but MoviePass is actually really cool. If people haven't heard of that, MoviePass, you pay for your card. It's like a subscription. It's like Netflix, It's $9.99 a month. Sometimes they have specials and it's lower. But what it does, it allows you to see movies for that one-time fee of $9.99 a month, and then you can go to as many movies as you want. You can see one movie one time, like you can't see it twice, but you can just, and they send you a credit card in the mail, and you just pay the $9.99 to them, and then they pay the theater with the card. And so I think a lot of people, not just the theaters, but other businesses are trying to come up with ways to get people to go and to make a profit. So yeah, it's fun to experience this change in the movie-going experience.
Yeah, I mean, when that came out, I couldn't figure out how they made money on it, but then I realized that I paid $9.99 a month for my gym membership and never went.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's a lot of that is certainly
that's the kind of person they're making their money off of.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a number of people that forget and keep their membership. But anyway, it like you said, it is cool to see how things change to get people to go to the theater. But I think that will wrap it up. Thanks again for being on the show. And I guess we will. Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk to you next time. See ya.
Bye.
Alrighty, folks. If you've made it this far, you might as well hang on a few more minutes. We've got a fun little segment coming up called the Fact Check, where my wife will be correcting me and my brother on our many mistakes throughout the podcast. We also get to hear a little ditty by Anne Hathaway. So now please enjoy the Fact Check on TJ Reid. Oh,
That was super attractive.
oh dear Lord. I was gonna cut that. I was gonna cut that out, but it was funny enough that I think I need to explain. I'm drinking coffee now that we're doing this fact check, and I about died. I was sipping, and I'm looking in the mug right now, and I believe if my eyes don't deceive me, there are some grounds at the bottom of this little mug, and I choked on them. So sorry. Welcome back to another segment of the fact check of episode. Oh, I'm so thrown off now. The episode with TJ Reid, my brother. Yeah. So I don't think there was this coffee stuff threw me off, the choking. How many mistakes were made? How many things we got on the fact check? God.
Just 6.
Okay, this shouldn't take long. I don't know that
Nope.
I needed this coffee. I'm regretting it now. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and start with our first oh, Lord, hooked on phonics. First fact check item.
You good?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
ready.
So
think.
you were covering the best movies from the year 2007,
Mm-hmm.
and 300 came up.
Yeah, it
and you said
Yeah.
that the quote, "This is Sparta,"
Yeah.
and TJ said no, that he thought it was "We Are Sparta."
Yeah.
Sorry, TJ, but I'm going to have to back up Alex on this. This is Sparta.
Oh, yeah.
So you're right.
This is Sparta. Yeah, and that's what he yells. I think it's toward the beginning of the
It's so
film, but-
epic.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that it's one of the most memorable lines from that year, and then I said it, and I was like, oh, as soon as I said it, I mean, I thought I was right, but then he was like, I don't know, and I was like, oh, shoot, did I just mess up what I called one of the most memorable lines? But I didn't, so cool, good to know. This is Sparta. Yeah, cool line.
And
Gerard Butler.
And you guys talked about that movie that I can't stand with Will Smith.
Hancock?
No, I
No.
like Hancock.
Oh, 7 pounds? What movie?
No, the one with the zombies. No, I should have
Oh.
written this down.
I Am Legend. Yes.
I Am Legend. So there's a quote
Love
in there.
that movie.
Ugh. Well, we got like 5 minutes into it and I was done. But
Well, yeah.
it's
Butterflies scare you though, so zombies
they
are
don't.
a step too much.
but TJ said that he was crying, like
What?
sobbing to the mannequin. And so I wanted to
I thought
find
you were talking about him crying. TJ's
No,
crying. Okay, so
no,
Will Smith
sorry,
crying.
Will Smith.
Yeah.
I wanted to find the quote, and because he said he like flirted it with her or something.
Yeah.
And this is the actual quote that was, and so he
Alright.
says, "I promised a friend I would say hello to you today. Please say hello to me. Please say hello to me." And it just says that he tears up.
Yeah.
So basically, he's wanting somebody to talk to, and
Yeah, I don't know if you'd call that. I think TJ said flirting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on your definition of flirting. I wouldn't really call it flirting, but either way, it was a little weird. I mean, who wouldn't go a little cuckoo with living alone in New York and zombies are trying to kill you, I'd be a little. I might flirt with the mannequin. Shoot, I don't know. I hope not, but he lost his dog. Anyway, all right.
Oh.
What's the next point?
It's something that has been covered already in another episode, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Luke's first words in The Last Jedi. I know,
that
babe,
came up again.
Yes.
Okay, we did this on another episode. I keep forgetting.
I'm just gonna clarify.
Yeah.
It was go away.
Go away. I've said it before. I'm not gonna go deep into the complaining about Star Wars again, but everyone knows I didn't like this. Did not like it at all.
All right, and you guys talked about one of my favorite actresses, Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna say she's amazing.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you guys brought up Love and Other Drugs. Amazing movie.
Yeah.
She plays Maggie Murdoch, and you guys weren't sure what illness she had. It was Parkinson's disease.
Aw, yeah.
Really sad.
She plays a good for I don't know what you call it. I started to say a patient. That's not what you call it. A victim of Parkinson's, I guess. Someone that has Parkinson's. She plays an ill person very well, so it was believable. So she did a good job.
Yeah, she played the role really well. But moving on from that.
Wait. Let's go back. Anne Hathaway. What's your favorite Anne Hathaway movie?
Oh gosh.
We did not
you can't even
practice or rehearse or whatever. On the spot? What's your favorite? You got to name one.
Honestly,
Princess Diaries.
Princess Diaries.
Yeah, first or second?
The first one.
Yeah,
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, but like every one of her movies are my favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, you do like it.
And Ella Enchanted was the first movie she ever sung in.
She has a really good voice, but I've heard that she's not real confident in it.
She said she did not want to sing, and they really pressured her to do it, and they weren't sure if they were going to keep the scene, and then they did.
I also heard a little rumor about Anne Hathaway that will.i.am wanted to make an album with her, and I don't believe they ever did. I'm not sure if it'll ever come out or if they ever recorded or not, but after they did Rio together, they had a couple songs in there for the movie. But this is, apparently, and this came from Anne Hathaway in an interview. She said that will.i.am was trying to get her to do some regular, radio music. But she's actually has a really good voice, and I happen to have a little snippet of a song she did from Ella Enchanted, just in case anybody's never heard her voice. This is what it sounds like. I'm not sure of the quality on this, but give me a break. It's playing from my phone. So yeah, not bad. That's called Somebody to Love. They did an original soundtrack of Ella Enchanted. She has a good voice, so I think she could make music if she wanted to.
Yeah, she could.
I got lost in the music. I don't know where we're at. So what's our next point there?
Our next point is you recommended Chef.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
wonderful
little correction
movie.
On how you talked about.
Yeah, I got lost in the story.
Who invites the critic back?
Yeah, I wasn't I knew what I was saying in my head. I was telling the story about the food critic and Jon Favreau going nuts in the restaurant, but I got lost in telling the story because I liked the movie so much, and go ahead and correct me on whatever it was there.
It was actually Jon Favreau who invites him back, not the owner of the restaurant where he had worked.
Yeah.
So he invited him back, and the owner was telling him, "No, you need to apologize." And
yeah, because
Jon Favreau was saying, "I'll have you back, and I'll cook a completely different menu just for you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got in a Twitter fight, and if you haven't seen the movie, it's I believe I've talked about this before. I feel like on another episode, but really solid movie, and that's my favorite scene when he goes nuts in the restaurant. It's hilarious.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
And then the last thing?
Because
of talking about Chef, your brother brought up that the first thing he ever saw Jon Favreau in was Swingers.
Swingers, yeah.
And he said 1996, but he was questioning it that was the year it came out, and
sure.
that is the year that it came out. So I just wanted to confirm
that. Good job. Awesome. All right, so that's everything?
Yep, that's all.
That
Not
wasn't
too
bad. All right, awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.